As a child, King would travel to Connecticut to harvest tobacco. This experience up north was his first interaction in a less segregated environment. After we passed Washington, there was no discrimination at all, is what he once echoed. The white people here are very nice. We go to any place we want to and sit anywhere we want. Believe it or not, King got all C's in public speaking, but by the end of his studies, he had climbed to class valedictorian, student body president, and had straight A's, which is kind of hard to believe coming from a martyr such as Dr. MLK. They had very excellent orator skills. So by him having all C's and getting all A's and rising to that mark is very monumental. All right. There's a lot of facts about Dr. King that I'm going over. It's going to be 25 total, so just bear with me. King was awarded the Medal of Freedom and Congressional Gold Medal, the highest honors an American civilian can receive. And his speech, which was in 1967, while opposed the war in Vietnam, went on to win him a posthumous Grammy. He's probably one of the only speakers that I can think of that have a Grammy, which is big in my eyes. Martin Luther King was a Trekkie. He looked like looking at Star Trek. Dr. King urged Nichelle Nichols, who played Uriah on the show, to stay because her character broke the norm as an intelligent and equal member of the crew, a departure from the typical black persona on television at that time. Interesting facts that we have here. It's the truth. More than 1,000 streets in the world, not the United States, the world, are named after Martin Luther King Jr. At least 955 of those streets can be found in the United States. 6 years after Dr. King's assassination, his mother, Alberta Christine Williams King, was shot and killed by a gunman too. The murderer believed that all Christians are my enemies and fatally shot Alberta while she played the organ at the church. He should be found guilty and sentenced to death, but the killer's sentence was later changed to life in prison because the King family didn't believe in capital punishment. Dr. King attempted suicide when he was 12 years old after his grandmother died of a heart attack at their home. He was supposed to be home with her, but instead snuck out to see a parade against his parents' wishes. When King returned and learned that his grandma had passed, he went upstairs and then jumped from a second-story window at the age of 12. This is something that a lot of people don't know. Dr. King had a very fascinating life, and some of these facts should be brought out and told to the masses, not just on his day or Black History Month, but all around. Like I tell people all the time, we're melanated 12 months out of a year, 24/7. So these facts should always be told. From the years 1957 to 1968, Dr. King traveled over 6 million miles and spoke over 2,500 places in different protests and civil rights events. This is the history of Dr. King. Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech may not have become what it did if it wasn't for the gospel singer Mahalia Jackson Last Minute Suggestion. This was in 1963. She was behind him on the podium at the Lincoln Memorial and urged him to talk about the dream right before his speech. Mahalia Jackson urged him to talk about the dream that he had, the I Have a Dream speech that is recorded and gone down in history. Dr. King initially wanted to become a lawyer or a doctor, but he eventually decided that the Bible consisted of many profound truths which one cannot escape, and became a minister. He did become a doctor when you think about it, though. At the age of 25, he received his PhD in theology. Very impressive. Dr. King was on a mission, you all. These are just some of the facts that we have concerning his life. All right? President Reagan made MLK Day a national holiday. The first MLK Day was celebrated in 1986. Initially, There were many oppositions to the idea, saying another national holiday would be too expensive. Make you think. Martin Luther King Day is celebrated in Toronto, Canada, and Hiroshima, Japan. Only two other people in American history have national holidays honoring them, George Washington and Christopher Columbus. That's a different topic, but I'm going to get on that soon too. All right? Harry Belafonte, who raised money to ensure that the King's children were supported through childhood and educated. The absence of a will has led to many court battles over the use and intellectual property of the leader's written speeches, his image, recordings, and the literary works. In keeping with the ethos, King's funeral procession featured a humble casket drawn by a mail carriage representative of his final mission, which was the Poor People's Campaign that he was getting ready to do in 1968, right before his assassination. Another thing that people need to realize is that Martin Luther King Jr. was not born Martin Luther King Jr. He was born Michael Luther King Jr. When him and his dad went to Germany, I believe, it was some country overseas, that's when the name of Michael Luther King changed to Martin Luther King Jr. because Martin Luther King Sr. was so profound and so touched by this experience that he decided to change his name as well as his son's name. So the original name of Martin Luther King Jr. was Michael Luther King. Another important fact. It's going to be 26 facts because that was one thing that was not on the list to talk about. But that's an fact that people need to know about because they believe that it was Martin Luther King that was his birth name, and it wasn't. All right, moving on. This is interesting, y'all. This is Black history. I'm saying this for all races. This is Black history. If you don't study your history to all races and nationalities about our history, then you don't know, because our history is so embedded in this country that you cannot even talk about history, period, without talking about us. Tomorrow will be a martyr's birthday. Somebody who gave his life to the civil rights movement. Understand? This man didn't even live to see 40 years old. Let me get back to what I had to say. The FBI monitored MLK heavily due to his friendship with Stanley Johnson, a New York attorney who had ties to the Communist Party USA. After his I Have a Dream speech, King was declared the most dangerous and effective Negro leader in the country. By the 70s, the government admitted to finding no incriminating evidence regarding King. In the 70s, right after he was assassinated. But they had no evidence regarding this man, but he was dangerous. Think about that. After MLK's untimely death, King's family was in dire straits. King died not only without financial assets, but without a will. Despite his earnings with his 5 books, hundreds of speaking engagements, his ministry, and the $54,600 that he earned from getting the Nobel Peace Prize, a majority of his funds was donated to the movement. Okay? This is interesting. As an activist, Martin Luther King was involved in many protests and was arrested 29 times in his 39 years of life. I'm going to say that again. Dr. King was arrested 29 times out of his 39 years of life for fighting against injustice. King was stabbed in 1958 by a mentally ill woman named Izola Curry. She used a letter opener to stab King in the chest. His aorta was almost perforated and an emergency surgery was necessary to save his life. King later publicly forgave his attacker. These are the facts, people. These are the facts. Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968 at the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. These are facts. Facts. We can go all day and talk about all type of things, but this is one thing that I decided to talk about because it's something that's in my heart that I wanted people to know about. Okay? Dr. King was influenced by the nonviolent teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He was influenced a lot by his teachings, and that's what persuaded MLK in a lot of ways to lead nonviolent protests and march and do what he did, because he was persuaded by this man Gandhi out of India. Okay? As a young man, MLK fell in love with a white cafeteria worker at Crozer Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania. This was before Coretta Scott King. His father disapproved of the idea entirely. King's father was also not thrilled with his choice of New England Conservatory of Music student Coretta Scott. He arranged choice of a bride for Martin Jr. was opera singer Matilda Dobbs. Matilda Dobbs, whose father founded the Atlanta Civic League and the Atlanta Negro Voters League. This is some powerful information, you all. A lot of people don't know this stuff. As I said before, King was born Michael, and loved ones called him Mike. I stated that earlier. In 1964, MLK was 35 and the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner. Since then, the prize has been awarded to Malala Yousafzai, age 17, in 2014. But at that time, he was the youngest. In 1964, the youngest person to ever receive the Nobel Peace Prize. King donated, as I said before, the $54,600 prize to the civil rights effort. Powerful man. Most people that had that type of money would have kept it to themselves. But he seen something greater than keeping the money, and that was the civil rights movement. Okay? Martin Luther King Jr. skipped the 9th and 12th grades and entered Morehouse College in 1944 at the age of 15. He earned his bachelor's degree in sociology by 19. MLK was the first African American Man of the Year in Time magazine issue. The only other African American man to receive the title of Time magazine was former President Barack Obama in 2008. Dr. King applied for a gun permit to protect his family. Before King was officially committed to nonviolence resistance, he applied for a firearms permit during a period when his home and several Montgomery churches were bombed. Several. Later, King decided to fully practice what he preached. This is the information, you all. I'm just giving it to you. I'm just giving it to you. There's a lot of things that we need to know about Dr. King. And this is some of it. This is some of it. Y'all still with me? Don't get bored on me. Don't get bored on me. Don't get bored on me. These are the facts. I'm gonna do another segment, and this is gonna be talking more about the last 3 years of Dr. MLK's life. But I'm just giving you some important facts about Dr. King. This man was powerful beyond his years. And to think of the fact that they fought not to give this man a holiday. One thing about this United States government, and I'm just going to be frank about it, they kill you and then they glorify you. They kill you, then they glorify you. But that's on another topic. These are the facts that a lot of people did not know about Dr. King. Also, 2 other facts that people didn't know. He had a sister and he had a brother. Okay? His brother, A.D. King, pastored a church in Birmingham, where I'm from, First Baptist Church of Ensley in Birmingham. And his brother was more radical than he was. but he had a brother and he had a sister. All right? These are the facts. A lot of people may not know this information. Maybe you do. But these are the facts that are out there. All right? That should be my 25 facts of Dr. King. I will be posting this, and I will be doing another segment concerning Dr. King's last 3 years of his life and information that people may not know. Even if they do know, it still don't hurt you to look at it again. So this is the information I'm putting out. Until next time, peace and blessings. Much love. This is your boy, Alfonso Ross III, a.k.a. AR3. I'm out. Peace.